Hello and welcome. I hit the wrong intro.
Ben, I said, look, it could be better, and you scrapped it all together.
No, Ben took me off my game. I meant to do the correct intro with our actual theme music in it, but that was just like the stock standard StreamYard one. Sorry. Anyway, hello and welcome. We're the Aussie guys. I'm AJ. Here with me is G and Ben. How are you both, gents?
Yeah, good. Except for the last 5 minutes before we came on. Outside of that, well, stuck inside all day, but yeah, okay. Not complaining.
Yeah, well, Melbourne weather. We had, 30 degrees yesterday?
Was it 30?
I think it did get to 30.
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, there you go.
And then today?
And then today's winter.
Yeah.
I was quite glad of that because I completed my first ever half marathon this morning. So there you go.
Wow.
Just to put you guys to shame, sitting inside all day. But
well done.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely killed me, but I'm here.
Did you do it just by yourself, or was it part of some run?
Yeah. So the soccer team that I coach, one of the guys there. Yeah. His father's got motor neurons disease, so horrible disease. The whole team did the run, so it was great. Like we just went around Albert Park a few times, and it was it was a cracking day. So it's good.
Beautiful. Yeah. Have you got like a yellow film on your camera, or everything looks like it's got a yellow tinge to it?
Yeah, I've been kicked out of the.
So where are you? Are you in the basement? Is that like a safety switch to your
I'm in the
right-hand side?
It's like a powder room, actually.
What? That's
up on the wall there.
Oh no, that's a bit of a view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, well, I'm actually in the front room, but I've put the crap light on because I don't know if you could see me or not. So that's why.
Yeah. Probably be better if we couldn't, but that's okay. You can turn the light on if you want.
Yeah, I'll turn it off now.
Excellent. So before we start talking about any football, someone has a movie review to do.
Do they?
Yes.
Who's that? Me?
Yes.
Ah, man, I reckon I saw.
You're watching movies. Obviously, maybe we shouldn't talk about it because it's obviously a pirated version.
Who said it's a pirated version?
Well, it's not even it's not even on the cinemas here yet.
No, but it's been released on HBO
Cinemas
Max.
aren't even open yet, so.
It has been released on HBO Max, although it would make a very strong recommendation for you to see it in the cinema.
Yeah.
But Dune, which, for mine, probably my movie of the year. But then again, that's the sort of person that...
Mate, it's not hard to... What is it beating?
Oh, yeah, there's not... The choices aren't sort of... And look, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen No Time to Die or, there's a whole lot of ones that I haven't seen that have come out and, because cinemas are closed. So a little bit hard. But fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. And for those who are into science fiction, you don't have to have read the book. I think it's good if you're familiar with the source content, but it's not necessary. You can come into it completely cold, but I think you've got a director in Denis Villeneuve, who is one of the best film directors really in the world. He's you'll be familiar with him from such works as Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
His atmosphere and the way he shoots things and the sound, the visuals, it's amazing.
Does he have the same music composer?
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
man, the music is amazing.
He also did Dunkirk.
Yes.
Right. Now, if you watch Dunkirk, there's always like this. I don't know if you noticed it when you're at home, but when I went and saw it in the cinema, and I wanted to go and see Dunkirk because my grandfather was on the beach in Dunkirk.
Yeah.
There's always this sort of a droning noise in the background the whole time the movie's on. And it just sort of adds to it sounds like I couldn't put up with that through the whole movie, but it's just, it gives us this 3D effect, which is, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
It's hard to explain, but it's just this whole sound that's just constantly there in the background.
Yes. it raises the tension, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of that in Dune. It's just the atmosphere, the sound adds to the atmosphere incredibly. And I actually think, and I'm kind of making this up a little bit, but I have a feeling that I heard that Hans Zimmer even invented some instruments for this. Like the sound is actually like quite different. It's amazing. The sound is amazing, but I have a feeling like it's quite distinct. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as you go through the film, it's very atmospheric. Like I liked it. Like I liked the music.
So you really want to go and see it, like you said, in a cinema, and like the Supermax screen.
Oh yes, yeah. It would look amazing, and as soon as I can, I will. Yeah. Obviously, I was looking forward to it, so yes, I have watched it. But so
how close is it to the original movie?
Well, a better question is how close is it to the book, and the answer to that question is very, very close.
Okay.
It's a very good adaptation. The thing is, if you're referring to like the David Lynch Dune, with Kyle MacLachlan in the lead role, that's what's that?
Sting
and Sting. Yes, that's also, as far as the book goes, it's like the first half of it's quite accurate, but then he kind of rushes because it's a big book.
Yeah.
You can imagine doing like Lord of the Rings in one movie.
Okay.
That's what David Lynch did in that 1984 version.
Okay.
He did it like rushed. It's like super rushed.
So like Game of Thrones, where you have seasons and seasons, then they rush the last episode.
That's right. That's right. So this one, I think the plan is to do 3.
Yeah.
At least 2 for the first book, and then they might do the next book. But there's a whole series of books. I don't know if you know that. There might be like 6 or 7 books.
Okay, no, I didn't know.
There's a whole ton of them. Anyway, I highly
recommend it.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And a quick note on the James Bond film, No Time to Die. It's got a running time of over 3 hours, so there's plenty of time to die. Let's put it that way. So it's a bit of a shocking sort of title. No Time to Die.
And Chris just put up there, why aren't we in the same room? That's because I was out for dinner tonight enjoying my newfound freedom.
Were you really?
I was out for dinner. Yes.
Wow.
We've got
out of the
going.
House. Out of the house, actually, for dinner.
Yes.
Wow.
In and out. You had to be in and out by a certain time. That's okay.
Yep. Okay.
That's
Where'd you go?
It's modern Mexican / a bit of Spanish. It's called Black Toro up in the local and Glen Waverley, which is it's really nice. It's really nice. Really good.
Lovely.
Really good. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. Well, let's talk about Macca's isn't out. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about week 7 of the NFL. Now, this is for many reasons a really, really tough week. Not only have we got a slew of injuries. Wow. Injuries to the max. We also have 6 teams on bye this week, and they're ones from which a lot of fantasy players generally come from. Yep. Those being the Bills, ouch, Cowboys, ouch, Jags, crickets, well, James Robinson, I suppose. The Chargers, ouch, the Vikings, ouch, and the Steelers, ouch. Man, you take all the fantasy players out of those 6 teams, that's a lot.
Yes.
That is a ton.
I was actually surprised.
One of my leagues, I have 7 out of 8. On by, like literally, I'm just like, what do I do? This draft is what I'm going to do right now. Yeah, to actually pick a team.
I'm a little concerned about my teams because none of my teams are really affected that badly. So I'm thinking, obviously, I didn't draft very well.
Well, look, and I think there's 2 things. As a general bit of advice, I would have. The first is, don't sacrifice your bench just to kind of try and get by this week. Maybe you just have to say, screw it, I'm going to lose. I'm going to take the L. Yep. Like, don't drop good players to pick up some of the scrubs we're going to talk about because, you're chasing what might not be a a realistic W, you know?
Yes.
And the second thing is, look at your opponent before you do anything, before you do absolutely anything, have a look at your opponent, because you might be scrambling to do some radical moves and you look at your opponent and they've got half their team out on bye. So you're just going, oh, well, you know what? Kind of even. We're kind of all right here. It's like in a league where I have no quarterback, a superflex league. I have nobody to start at quarterback. And I looked at my opponent and they didn't either. And I was like, oh, I'm okay. Fine.
I did notice in one of our leagues that we play, Nate, I've got no quarterbacks to start this week. Well, if Sam Darnold went down with COVID in the next 36 hours, 48 hours, I've got a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Oh, I remember, man, maybe you'll remember this a few years ago. I can't remember what the circumstances were. And it might have been something like you had a situation where you didn't have a starting quarterback and Ben was out for some reason, right? Like either he was sick or I can't remember, right?
Old?
No, this was a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
So but you put him in your lineup, right? You put him in your, this might have even been in the finals. You put him in your lineup and you were just like, I'm going to have to take the 0, but I can't have an invalid lineup. And then in the warm-ups just before this thing, whoever was going to play, like Mason Rudolph or some idiot, was going to be starting. They came out, Ben went in, and he threw like 4 touchdowns.
I don't remember that, but it's a good story.
No, it really happened, and you won.
Did I?
Yes, because you
had... I should remember that. It doesn't happen very often. I should remember those wins.
Anyway,
we've probably already had, right, the best waiver wire pickup performance of the week, I imagine, for most leagues.
Oh yeah, probably.
Dennis Johnson, who looked absolutely fantastic. Like I can't even think of Derrick Henry's had a few, obviously, but I can't imagine. I haven't enjoyed a performance like that by a running back for some time. Like he was.
Well, Derrick Henry run for three touchdowns doesn't excite you anymore. Is this just because it's commonplace?
It's boring, right? It's boring. It's every week. Okay? So, like, what's the point?
Just runs over guys.
No, but, an undrafted guy who's knocked around and, looks like he's got things the right way and get the opportunity and just absolutely balls out. Like, who's going to be the next person who does that this week? I'm not sure, but
not to rain on his parade, but the Denver defense was terrible. And they did lose. They lost Von Miller pretty early. They lost Micah Kaiser, which doesn't sound like a big loss, but they were very low on linebackers anyway. They had signed Micah Kaiser like a week ago to fill up because they had lost AJ Johnson. So they were struggling in the middle of that defense, and I think you saw it.
Yeah, the first round draft pick as well. Awusa Kamara, is it?
No, that's Browns. He's Browns.
Oh, that's Browns, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Who was it? Yeah. Did they draft a linebacker? I try to remember if they.
Denver.
Yeah.
No. Nope.
No idea.
Don't think so. Oh, no, they did.
I haven't watched the game yet, so.
Baron Browning, they did. Yes.
Browning. Yeah, that's it. But
him and Stranard are like the only 2 healthy linebackers I think they got left. They might have somebody else. They will have to they'll have to sign someone to bring someone up from the practice squad, I imagine. But anyway, so that's part of it. But yes, you're right. I think those people, and I did start him in a couple of leagues, Ernest Johnson. And if you started him, you were praying for 10 points. You were thinking, wow, just give me get in the paint. Get in the paint and bingo, I'm happy, right? Which he did actually reasonably early.
First drive.
Yeah.
You'd have been like, oh, worth it. Right.
And everything else was gravy. After that, gravy. And you weren't playing him out of any choice. You were doing it out of necessity.
Yeah.
You were like, I don't have any other choice. Basically.
But that was not like, if you think of this week as a tough week, a week where you're like, even the slate of games is not, attractive, shall we say. The game mirrored that as well. Just, when you think Case Keenum against Teddy Bridgewater.
I started Case Keenum.
Yeah, he was like both of them were.
I think he gave.
Bridgewater
me projected points. So that's all I could hope for. He gave me more than any of these running backs you go and pick up off the waiver. Besides him, obviously, they're going to give you.
But why do we always end up with these games on a Thursday night? Like, why are they always seem to be, middling teams with either QB issues or, you just think, well, how are they get this wrong with the schedule every year? Like, we had a few really good ones to start the year. I think that obviously Cowboys, Bucks, and then was it the Seahawks, and someone was great as well. And you're just like, the last few weeks have been dreadful.
Oh, I think when we had the KC and the Cowboys to start off, mate, that's a pretty high watermark for the rest of the year already that you had to compete with.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a great game.
But there was nothing. There was nothing else to talk about from that game. There's no fantasy relevant, apart from maybe Odell Beckham Jr.
Again, who looks struggling absolutely mightily. Awful.
Yeah,
he looks
dropped a couple of passes. Awful. Yeah.
I don't think he had a
shout out to Neil
in the first half. Did he?
Shout out Neil. Yeah, good job, Neil.
I don't think he had a reception in the first half.
Nope.
And then in the second,
he dropped 3. Yeah.
Yes, and then in the second he got a few, but he doesn't look the player that he was.
No.
At all.
Did they trade him?
Yeah.
Well, who's gonna pick him up? You could try. But you think everybody talks about Jarvis Landry and the age of Jarvis, like he's been around for ages. He's getting on. Same draft.
Yeah.
Why do you talk about Odell Beckham any different? You talk about Jarvis Landry, like time's sort of catching up with him now, and I suppose they play different positions. And Jarvis Landry has been beaten from pillar to post hell of a lot more than Odell Beckham ever has been.
Oh yeah,
maybe that's part of the reason. But yeah, it's the same draft.
Yeah.
So
very true. Very true. Now, the Magnificent Seven.
Oof.
Here we go.
I don't know how magnificent they are, but
no. Well, week 7, and the theme is the Magnificent Seven. And if you have not ever watched the Magnificent Seven, there's another movie recommendation, but not the. You know what? It's funny because I was looking for GIFs for the tweet that I put out and typed Magnificent Seven, and it was giving me all the modern one. You know that modern one they did with Denzel Washington?
Terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. So don't watch that. Watch I don't know when they made that other one. In the 60s or something, would it have been?
Yeah, it would have been the 60s, I'd say.
Yeah. Steve McQueen.
Yul
Brynner. Charles Bronson. Robert Vaughn. I was going to say Charlton Heston, not Charlton Heston.
You should know. They're all dead.
James Caan. James
Caan might not be dead. No, it's James Caan in it.
No, James Caan. No. There's a guy who's I always confused with James Caan. What's his name? You know the one who is the knife guy.
The knife guy.
Yeah, the knife guy.
Oh, yeah. I know who you mean.
The one that's not James Caan. He throws knives.
Here we go. I'll tell you who they are. Here we go.
It is a James. It's
Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen, Charles
James
Bronson,
Coburn.
Robert James Coburn.
That's him.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yep. Yes. And Scott, you are 100% correct. It is based on Seven Samurai. And if you haven't seen Seven Samurai, that's another movie I would recommend. Black and white. Amazing, by Akira Kurosawa, a fantastic Japanese director. That is an amazing film. Yes, so inspired by the movie Seven Samurai, which was in turn inspired by American Westerns. We've become a media podcast, but a movie review podcast. But yeah, Seven Samurai was inspired by the Western, the concept, like the American Western. And then that inspired, in turn, Magnificent Seven.
Mate, when you go into on Google and they give you the movie and they give you all the actors and they give you like a recent photo of what they look like now, usually, if it's a black and white photo, the chances are they're no longer with us.
Yeah, sad. Yeah. A lot of the Magnificent Seven are not with us, I would say.
I'd say
Charles Bronson's still here.
Is he?
I think so. Yeah.
Charles Bronson's still with us.
I don't think he's gone. Steve McQueen's gone.
Yeah, no, he's still with us. He hasn't got no, he died in 2003, mate.
Charles Bronson?
Yes.
No, really?
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna go. You talk about it. I'm gonna find out if there's any of these guys still alive. So talk about the concept. So the concept is.
So the concept is, now you remember in the movie, the villagers go out looking for help, desperate. They're desperate, aren't they? Right? Just like you are, week 7 fantasy. The villagers are going out there desperate for help, and they're looking for whatever they can find to help them for that week in their fantasy matchup. So what we're going to do is, now we have taken our just standard redraft league, right? So this might be different, but it's probably pretty similar to what you've got in your actual leagues. But we've gone to our standard redraft league, looked at what's on the waiver wire. We're going to build a whole team from the waiver wire. Pity we can't use Ernest Johnson anymore, or Case Keenum. Case Keenum mightn't have been a bad ad.
I don't think the quarter position is the least of our worries, to be honest. Because did you say that we took it from our
single quarterback? Yeah. This is from our just standard. It's a pretty standard redraft league.
Yep.
So it's a single quarterback league. So there are quarterbacks on the waiver wire in this league, and that's fine.
And we're still doing God scoring too in this league, which is great.
We are.
Which is great. So
I think you'll find the crunch point is running back. But anyway,
the
other positions aren't really that flash to begin with.
But at least we can fill them.
But we can fill them. Yeah. So this is the challenge. Challenge. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Bronson died in 2003. Yeah,
we got that.
Did he have a death wish?
Yeah, good one. Yeah, about six of them, 5 of them. So I've looked through it and I can't find a single person that is still alive that was like a main character in the movie.
Okay.
So I think the youngest character in the movie would have been Chico.
Oh yeah, Chico, yeah.
So he would have been the youngest, I think, and he's been dead since 2003 as well. They're all dead, thanks, Doug. So let's not get too morbid, but no. Father Time's undefeated, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
I don't think people will be looking up podcasts and go, "Hey, I wonder if AJ, Ben, or G are still alive today in like 60 years, 70 years time."
No,
I don't think so. No,
they will not.
No. I guarantee you, I will be dead
in 60 years.
Yeah. Oh, mate, modern medicine. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
You might be mostly made of plastic.
It could be. I don't care.
All right.
If we can still be here torturing my kids, that'd be great.
So 7, Magnificent 7. We've got a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, tight end, and a flex. That makes 7 positions. There are 7 saviors. Dave says he's 0-6, about to be 0-7. Yeah. Then you don't have to worry. If you're 0-6, no stress this week at all.
Just enjoy it. Enjoy the week. This could be your week. This is your 1-6 week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do the rock paper scissors. Okay, let's get this thing going. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go. AJ's out. You have not gone past the first round. Okay, Benny, let's go. Let's go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Yes! Paper wins. It's probably you probably better be in the third pick and get 2, to be honest, than get the first pick and have to wait for it to come all the way back. So, okay, so the worst position that I found, without a doubt, again, I think we found it last week, was running back. And thank you on the numbers last week. Just before we start, I did add those numbers up from last week. And thanks to Ben for taking Zeke overall and leaving Derrick Henry to me, because that did help my score. Yeah. So last week, Ben was 83.4. AJ was second with 96.2. And I was first. And Damien Williams didn't play because of COVID. So I had a 0. And I still scored 118.24.
Wow.
It's amazing that this is the only week that we've actually had scores from out of the whole 6 weeks, and it seems that there might be a method.
We're going to talk about CeeDee Lamb this week too.
Yeah.
He's catching. He's coming.
Well, do the scores this week, G. It's going to be super easy.
It's going to be
Yeah.
You'll be able to do it on your hand.
I wasn't lazy this week. I had a bit of time.
2 more. Let's make
it's going to be like that, isn't it? Okay, so let's get this thing going. So what do we got? So, mate, the worst position is probably, without a doubt, is running back. But then you could look at that and go, okay, I'm going to take the best of the bad bunch, or do you really want to just move on to another position where you get a guy that could actually do something?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go quarterback, even though there's a couple of quarterbacks that are available. And look, I've got 3 here, and I'm going to take Ryan Tannehill only because the reason he's played against one of the worst defenses to quarterbacks in the league. And that's the only reason I'm picking him this week. Just based on that, he's got the best matchup for quarterbacks. So I just thought that was an easy lay down. I'd rather get a guy that's going to put up points than take one of the other 2 quarterbacks, and they might only give me 10 points less, because I don't reckon any of their guys are going to take after quarterback are going to give me 10 points combined.
No.
So
he hasn't been playing very well.
He hasn't. No.
No. But there also has been some inconsistency in the receiving core there. Julio, has he even played? He hasn't been healthy. He's hardly played. If he's played.
That hasn't worked out for me.
I think last week he played, but he hasn't been Julio.
No.
And the Falcons probably got out.
AJ Brown's still suffering, apparently, with his dodgy takeaway that he had.
Yes.
He
finally had a decent game.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, I'm hoping for a very decent game this week.
Yes. Okay.
Ben. So Ben, you're up.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with quarterback. I thought, G, you might leave me with that because I think he's the only gem in this whole thing. So he was rightfully went. But I'm going to go with a guy who has now had 3 straight multiple touchdown games. He gets a San Francisco 49er defense this week that, let's face it, is not anywhere near where it has been. Particularly, in the secondary, they've got problems there with injuries as well. So I'm going to go for Carson Wentz, who, give him a bit of credit. I think after the first few weeks, everyone was sort of going, "Oh God, this looks pretty rough." And I think he had a few ankle problems and a few bits and bats, but he really has pulled the Colts back into decent territory in terms of the division. And
he's still not the answer though.
He's still not the answer, but I think getting T.Y. Hilton back is very helpful. I think he's a guy who works well with veterans. Michael Pittman is coming on nicely. Mo Alley-Cox is obviously starting to see some coverage in the end zone, so that's good. But I mean, they did lose to IR Paris Campbell, who hauled in a deep ball last week. Yeah. But But look, I still think, with Jonathan Taylor there, with Naeem Hines, he's got a good connection out of the backfield. Like, he's a solid, I reckon he'll get a couple of scores and hopefully give me that, big score at quarterback that I think we're all going to need this week.
Yes, without a doubt. So, AJ, who are you taking?
Okay.
You don't have to worry about quarterback now, obviously.
No, I don't have to worry about quarterback at all. I'm going to start with a running back. And, it's pretty thin on the ground at running back, and we all know that. However, I'm going to go with the same sort of attitude that, like, if you can put a guy in there and if he's going to get, between 5 and 10 carries, perhaps, then happy days.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even some receptions as well, especially given the quarterback. I'm going to go and pick up Ramondre Stevenson as my first running back.
Hold on. He's not on here.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is. I'm sure he was.
Where? No, because he's on my team.
What?
He's on my actual team that we've taken this roster from.
It was definitely on the list you sent.
I thought I saw him there on the thing.
Did you pick him up this week?
Yes.
Well, obviously, then the list you've sent us here.
Hang on, is that it? Is that
the waivers before the waivers run? Yeah, before.
Oh, well, I'll let you have that then.
Hang on. Oh no, that's the wide receivers. Running backs. Did you see?
Yeah,
he's there.
Oh, okay.
Aha! There.
Yeah.
Yep, I've got it.
Fuck. I didn't go off that.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you that then.
All right. Versus the New York Jets.
Technicality.
He's settling in really as the change of pace guy behind Damian Harris. And I think, he's going to get a few targets in the receiving game, and he's probably going to get, maybe 10 rushing attempts. Happy days if he gets 10 rushing attempts. And he's not bad. He's a pretty decent looking running back, I would think.
He looked fine last week.
Yeah, exactly. So Ramondre Stevenson versus the Jets.
I'm going to put an asterisk next to that, though.
And for my second pick, I'm not going to pick a running back, although I was a bit tempted to go running back. But I'm going to go to tight end because I think there's one there that kind of stands out for me too.
Yeah.
And that's OJ Howard.
Given that's not who I have at the top of my list.
I was worried when you're like, there's one that stands out, and then you go, OJ Howard. So Gronk's not back yet, and Antonio Brown is out this week as well, and we have seen OJ Howard get targeted quite a lot by Tom Brady in that passing
Touchdown
attack
last week.
That's right. Yeah. Versus Chicago this week, which is a pretty good matchup, and I think that he's going to get a lot of targets. There's targets.
What about Cameron Brate?
Well, the funny thing is, I know OJ Howard is out snapping and getting more targets than Brate easily.
Okay.
So it seems like Howard is sort of the preferred. I mean, there might be times when they're both on the park, but it does seem like Howard is ahead of Brate in the pecking order at this stage, or certainly is getting targeted much more.
Jeez, mate. Well, he's not obviously getting sore hands from how many targets he's getting, mate, because he's up until last week, he had a total combined of 4.1 fantasy points.
So OJ Howard?
Yes.
No, but last week he had a good week.
Yeah, last week. Yeah,
I know, because you got to look when Gronk is healthy, forget it. Mm-hmm. There's no tight end worth starting.
Yeah, it's a good week to pick him.
Yeah, but it's not like this is
the matchup and also
last week wasn't the first week that Gronk's been out either. This would be the fourth week he's not playing.
Yeah, could be too. No, last week he had 6 for 49 and a touchdown on 7 targets.
Yep. That was his. Yeah, that's his. He's finished for the year now. He's done.
Yeah.
He's
well,
done.
maybe, but yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Okay, Ben. Cool, Ben. Over to you, mate.
Yeah. Well, I had OJ Howard at the top of the list, but I also like this guy at tight end as well, and that's good old Ricky Seals Jones for the Washington football team at Green Bay this week. The last two outings for Seals Jones, obviously since Logan Thomas went on IR. 5 receptions for 41 yards against the Saints, and then last week against the Chiefs, 4 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. So, look, I think at Green Bay, that defense isn't the best, particularly in the secondary. Like, there's some question marks. So, thinking
number
about
19 against tight ends.
Yeah, and I think thinking about Taylor Heineke as well. Like, I think Washington's defense, we know what that's like. So this could be a bit of a shootout. So you get the feeling like Seals Jones is a nice option for 5 or 6 catches, 50, 60 yards, and if he gets in the end zone, fantastic.
Yeah, 19 targets the last 3 games and 90% of the snaps over the last three weeks as well. So he's out there, basically out there all the time. Yeah. Yeah, he was at the top of my list as far as the tight ends go. So I don't have to worry about tight ends now because there's only one guy left that was on the list. And those 2 are gone. They were both on the list. So I'm up. So where will I go?
You got 2, G, remember?
Yes, I've got 2. So what would like the running backs are just, it's a wasteland, and you really look, will I go running back? I'm going to pick the wrong guy. That's my problem. No, I'm going to go wide. I might go wide receiver. So the way that I've looked at wide receiver this week is that you're not going to get a guy that's going to get volume, obviously, because that's why he's still on the waiver wire. So you're looking, 1, I said, what quarterback is he playing with? And 2, big play potential.
Yep.
Because basically you're looking for that 1 or 2 catches.
Roll the dice.
The dice. So that's the way I'm looking at the guys I have at the top of the list. So the guy at the top of my list is playing against the 9th best defense to wide receivers, which happens to be the Lions, which you wouldn't think so, but they are. I'm going to take Deshaun Jackson. I'm going for that with Matt Stafford, who will definitely throw the ball down the field without a second thought. So I'm hoping for that, maybe that 1 for 75 and a touch, and my day's over. I'm done. I'm good.
And G,
yes.
Don't discount this is the Stafford revenge game.
Oh, yes.
As well.
Yes.
And
big play, big downfield play would just be beautiful for it.
Or the Goff humiliation game, whichever you want, whichever you want to go with.
Let's keep it positive, mate. Let's keep it positive.
Okay.
Let's stay in positive. So I'll take Deshaun Jackson's my first pick for that big play. And I'm going to skip that. I'm not going to go big play now because I don't think you other guys will pick who I've got on here. So I'll go to the running back position, and I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is do I go the Travis Homer or do I go the DJ Dallas? So I actually put Travis Homer first, but then I looked up the numbers. And DJ Dallas is second in the snap count in Seattle last week. Travis Homer only had 5. Alex Collins 33, and DJ Dallas had 22. And do we get points for turns?
No.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go with the guy in front of him, and Alex Collins is playing with a dodgy hip. And what else was it? Was it like a dodgy hip and a buttocks muscle or something like that? I think he's got as well. So he's going to be playing this week.
Do they? Glutes?
Glutes,
don't
glute. That's what I'm looking for. Buttocks. With a glute strain as well. So I'll take DJ Dallas on the 22 snaps that he played last week.
Yeah,
he looked okay. So I'll just go in the hope that
he is.
if he gets 10 carries, he does, as you said, AJ, if you can get a guy that does 5 to 10 carries and do something, mate, you'd be happy. And he catches the ball out of the backfield as well.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
So I'll take one of my running backs right now on the turn. So DJ Dallas. All right, scribble it in. Okay, you're up, Ben.
Yeah, I've got two here, and look, it's a real close one, but I'm going to go for just a better receiver. I think that's what I'm. The numbers aren't flash, but there's a few reasons to be excited. So his snap count for the first for the first 4 weeks, 48%, 50, 58, 66. But then in week 5 and week 6, snap count 82% and then 77%.
Wow.
Hasn't hit the end zone yet, but did haul in a very good 2-point conversion catch last week. Had 5 targets, 3 receptions for 44 yards. And all together, this year has in 6 games, bearing in mind the snap count, 16 receptions, 311 yards. Quez Watkins for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just like him as the receiver, I think, there's obviously not much going around in Philadelphia. But they do have the Raiders this week, which I think is a plus.
Including the quarterback. So pretty much he's in 300 odd yards. That'd be how much Hurts has thrown for this year, isn't it? About 300 odd yards.
I think that's probably right. But I mean, it's funny because he's the one thing I was also going to mention. So he's had. Yeah, he's had 20, what did I say? So his targets, sorry, I didn't count them up, 5, 12, 14, 17, 20. He's got 24 targets.
Yep.
He's got 100% catch ratio in 4 out of the 6 games. And the two other games, his catch ratio is above 65%. So he's a guy that is starting to get a bit more trust. I think he's a talented receiver. He's got good hands. He's a good route runner. And Jalen Hurts, look, the big problem with Jalen Hurts is he doesn't stay in the pocket for long enough for things to develop to hit the throw, So, but Watkins seems to be the guy who creates space for himself and, is an option downfield. He caught that amazing pass last week that was tipped. I don't know if you saw that one, tipped through the hands, and he still went up and caught it.
Yeah.
So, look, I just like the matchup as well against the Raiders, and I think it's crunch time in Philly. I think something's got to change, right? If they don't start pushing the ball a bit further downfield, what the hell they were doing last week by not establishing Miles Sanders, who looked great when he did get the ball finally. But look, I just like the matchup. I like the receiver, so I think that's my best bet to put up a decent score at the
How is it? Okay, we're going to get up a team that's hard to run against. How about we just don't even try? How does that make any sense at all? I reckon Sanders. I reckon I saw him at one stage after he broke in the secondary. He sort of just gave him as he's running down the field, at the coaching staff. How did you not give me the ball before? Because he looked fantastic. Mate, he looked great. The offense actually moved.
Well, the crowd had that, you could hear it. You could hear it on the telecast. He had one run. He got the first down. The crowd was standing up, way, this. And then the coach just doesn't listen.
We went in with a plan A, and our plan A is not working. It's did we come with a plan B? Terrible. All right, AJ, over to you, dude.
AJ.
2 picks up, mate. 2 picks.
Because there's something that that Eagles fans will all agree is that Miles Sanders is a good running back.
Oh, yeah.
Where they might have very mixed opinions about the guy under center, but I think all Eagle fans will generally tell you that Sanders is a good back.
Mate, even Kenneth Gainwell has looked good this year for a rookie.
Absolutely.
And how do you don't use either of them? He didn't even use Kenneth Gainwell in the passing game.
One target, 0 carries.
Unbelievable.
Madness.
Yep.
So I'm going to pick a running back, and I'm going to pick a guy who it's not like his situation has changed. It's the same. It's just bad. He's in a 3-way timeshare. This guy. Ooh. He's in a 3-way timeshare. He basically gets
my favorite number.
Yeah,
Saturday night.
He gets a pretty consistent number of carries. All the backs in this timeshare do. It's just that Myles Gaskin is probably the one who is the startable one, or the one that what people think of the starter one. They all kind of limit each other, but Salvon Ahmed, who if Gaskin did go down, would be a ripper of a running back. But they're just, he's not, well, geez, frowns at me.
No, mate, he's on my list.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not hard for him to make this list, to be honest.
No.
It's not a very good list.
He's gonna get 10 carries, probably, and he's gonna get some receptions.
Yeah.
So it's all about getting some points.
Mate, he made a great catch down the sideline, I think, last week, didn't he?
Not sure, actually. Yeah. And the defense he's playing is horrible. They might be on your head, G.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
25th against running backs, averaging 26.7 fantasy points. I just wrote down, this is why you're starting. It's the Falcons defense. That's all I wrote.
Yeah.
And Myles Gaskin's been all over the shop, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He's a hard one to start as well.
Yeah.
Just on his merits. Okay. And then I'm going to go to wide receiver. I love the Quez Watkins pick. That was fantastic. I'm going to go again. Look, all of these are dice throws. Here's a dice throw. And I like the philosophy of going with the quarterback that is, don't go with bad teams. Go with good teams. Pick the bad house on the best street. Yes. It doesn't quite work.
No, it does. It does.
Sort of. Tyler Johnson. Now, this is the second time I've gone to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Now, his performances have been patchy, but you do have two big playmakers out in Gronk and AB, as I've already said. So there's potential.
Is AB out?
Yeah, AB is out this week.
He's out.
Yes.
Out.
So look, Godwin will get his, Evans will get his. As I mentioned, OJ Howard will get targeted because Brady will target him. Yeah. But there'll be targets aplenty versus Chicago. And Tyler Johnson, well, 2 weeks ago, week 5, he had a stat line of 3 for 42 from 3 targets. But the week before that, he had 0. And the week after that, he had 0. So it's kind of like a hope and a prayer. But I think given that there are outs in the Tampa Bay offense, it's a dice roll, but not a bad one.
No, I don't. I didn't realize AB was out. So I've been in a cocoon, obviously, for a day or so.
No, you've been out, mate. You've been out living life, mate.
I have.
That's the issue.
Don't let me out of my cage. Never let me out of my cage.
You're lacking screen time, mate.
You try to avoid the phone on some days. Just don't look at it. Just don't look at it. Okay, I'd like to say do your 2 picks. Back to you, Ben.
Yeah, so I still am avoiding running back like the plague here. So I'm gonna go back to back on receivers. And you talked about
so one of these guys will be your flex. You're going to put receiver. Your flex spot's going to be a receiver.
No, because what we're doing? Are we doing 2?
Well, you've already got Quez Watkins. So you got one. So you're going to go. You said back. You're going to go. Did you say back? Sorry, back to back from last time. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So look, I'm going to go with the probably one of the most experienced receivers I think that we had on our list. Plays for the New England Patriots, Kendrick Bourne. A plus matchup against the Jets. The Jets haven't been terrible on defense, but they, have been terrible on offense. So, you feel like Matt Jones is the type of guy who has played it safe so far and has really, made use of what he's got. He had a good long pass to Bourne last week, 5-yard touchdown. It was Bourne's second touchdown of the season. He's playing probably averaging 61% of snaps. He's probably not the first receiver there that gets the looks, but he's probably guaranteed, 3 or 4 catches at least every week. And 3 out of his last 4 games, he's gone over 58 yards. So 8 targets, 6 receptions for 91 and a touchdown in week 3, 5 for 5 for 58 in week 4. And then last week, obviously, 75 yards and a touchdown. So look, there's the option there, I think, to have a nice little touchdown pass. And let's face it, it's the Jets. So you think Bill Belichick's going to pick them apart, and New England should be able to win this one easy. If they lost in Foxborough against the Jets, that'd be a bit of a shock, right?
Now, I'm just going through the Kendrick. Is he on there?
On your list? Yes, G, he is.
Yeah.
How come he's not on the up? Did someone pick him up?
Maybe someone picked him up.
Maybe.
God damn it.
It's amazing, like how we're doing a draft about picking a team from the waiver wire. And people have actually done that in real life.
How are people picking these guys up? My God, how bad is your not just your roster? Your roster might be okay for your starting, but how bad is your bench spots that you're going to have them pick up? Like, you're obviously dropping somebody to pick these guys up.
Yeah, but your bench is going to have lots of guys on bye.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, how bad is your bench to drop a guy in the hope that he does something for 1 week?
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, mate, your bench spots must be pretty rank.
Well, or you're just unlucky with the week and injuries as well,
Okay. Yep. Okay. On to me. So I need a running back, a tight end, and a flex. So I still don't need tight end. I probably could do with another running back. So let's get my running backs all done. So this is a terrible position. Look, the guy that I'm going to pick up, he had a good game and then he got COVID. So he's out for COVID last week. The guy in front of him has actually decided for the first time in 5 years, to be the running back that we all thought that he could be.
It's Leonard Fournette.
Any ideas who that may be? 50-year breakout for a running back?
Is it Lenny Fournette?
No, it'd be Joe Mixon.
Right.
So I'm going to take Samaje Perine because Joe Mixon has to be spelled at some time, and Samaje Perine has filled in very well as the number 2 running back at the Bengals. He's up against the 23rd worst run defense in Baltimore, giving up 26 fantasy points. Guaranteed probably 26 of those will go to Joe Mixon. So the 0.28 will be Samaje Perine. But I'm if you look at all these guys, they're all number 2s. Some of them are number 3s. But Samaje Perine seems to be, at the moment, based on what he did the week before he went out with COVID, run a touchdown in. And it's quite weird, though, sometimes. If you watch some of the Bengals games, when they get down inside the 10, because Joe Mixon's done all the work to get down there, they spell him.
Madness.
Every now and then they'll spell him, but it happens a lot. How often do you see it in games that the number 1 guy will take them all the way down? It doesn't happen in Tennessee, obviously.
No.
And teams will get down there and then they'll bring on the number 2 guy and he'll punch it in. And it's like, great, my guy did all the work to get down there and he scored 4 fantasy points. And then your guy get this back up. He's gone and
got 2 yards.
He ran 2 yards and got 6. That just sucks. But I'll go with the guy that he's probably the best number 2 out of the list of guys that we have here. and that's Samaji Perine. And fingers crossed that he does that 2-yard punch it in there.
Chris Evans looked all right, G.
Chris Evans does look all right.
Yes.
I do believe I had Chris Evans. Was he in my top 5?
He may have been.
He may be my number 5.
Yeah.
I remember you saying very good things about him.
It's almost a pity P. Ryan's ahead of him on the depth chart.
It is.
I think Evans could be, but he already showed some things. So, you know, he'll be getting noticed, which is good.
Thank you for picking that up, AJ. Thank you.
That's right.
Is there another pick for you, G?
I've got 2. I've got back-to-back. Okay, Samaji. Just put that in so I don't forget it. Samaji. So what do I need now? I need a tight end or a flex. Well, my tight end I'll just leave for last because there's only one guy left on my list. So we'll go to wide receiver. I'm thinking, do I go the same route as Ben would put it? And I think I will. I think I'll stick. This is where it gets hard because there's a couple of guys on here, but the quarterbacks aren't that great. And then there's a guy that has arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, but he doesn't do that much.
Right.
But then I think last week he popped up for a touchdown, and what are the chances he's going to do it 2 weeks in a row? Probably 0 to none. But I will take that chance. And I will go for the touchdown with the best quarterback. And I'm going to take DeMarcus Robinson up against the Titans, who were the worst at covering wide receivers this year in fantasy. They are number 32, giving up 50.48 points to wide receivers on average.
Thing is, Jay,
yes,
it's getting a little confusing because is it going to be DeMarcus Robinson? Is it going to be Byron Pringle?
Yes, he was another one on my list.
Yeah.
Is
it going to be
yes.
Josh Gordon? What effect is he going to? I mean, I think minimal, but he's going to be in the mix too.
Mate, that's another person I looked at. But at the moment, what did he have? He had 10. He's had 8 and 10 snaps. That could all of a sudden, mate. That's probably a really good point. Seeing the fact that they're playing the Titans this week, what better week than to show him than this week? Shit. Can I change? No. I'll stick with DeMarcus Robinson because this is the type of week he'd probably go and score against the best coverage in the NFL, and then this game he won't even get a target. He'll drop the ball. But no, I'll stick with DeMarcus. It's my flex spot, so he's my flex guy. I'll stick with that. All right, so you're up, Ben.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna fill my flex here with a tight end, G.
No, you're not allowed to do that. Hey.
This is not a tight end flex. This is a wide receiver running back flex.
That's a load of rubbish, and you know it.
You better not. You better not.
That's actually a good pick, I think. Yeah.
Colts. Three TDs in his last 3 games. In that span, 12 targets, 7 catches. No
Paris Campbell.
Yep, no Paris Campbell for 120 yards. Has emerged really as a red zone guy for Carson Wentz, and I picked Wentz as my quarterback, so I'm gonna trust in him. And again, I think San Francisco, there's nothing there that makes me worry about it. I mean, Jimmy Ward, a few weeks ago, they put Jimmy Ward on trying to cover the tight end. I can't remember who it was. Big tight end for, it'll come to me. No chance at all. So I feel like this is a solid nailed on TD plus 20, 30 yards at least.
Yeah, that's
there you go, Jim.
Yeah, that's who I had, mate. You're an asshole.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah. I didn't even, mate. I honestly, it didn't even cross my mind that you'd go to a tight end for your, for your flex spot. But that's a really good pick. I thought I'll just leave him. That'll be my last pick. Wrap it all up. Mo Cup, 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Bang, bingo, bango, done. Thanks very much.
Yeah. No worries.
Good work, AJ.
The bad news is I've still got to pick 2 running backs, so don't be too don't be too happy.
Wow. Okay. I'll pick up. I could probably even wait on the quarterback. I could probably go and get 2. Oh man, but the wide receivers have really dried up. If it was pretty dry already, but it's pretty dry. What about and I can't really. It's very hard to sell them, to be honest. But I might go pick up Freddie Swain. Seahawks. Obviously, we've got Geno Smith under center, which is mate, ideal.
I looked at Freddie Swain, and that's the reason I didn't pick him up.
Otherwise, I could almost sell it. If it was Russ under center, I could almost sell it to you.
Yep.
They are playing New Orleans. What can I say? Hard to sell, but I think that might be my pick there.
You sure?
Yes, I am, because there's not a lot else.
Mate, I was going to say, you sound less convincing than me picking up DeMarcus Robinson and thinking he's going to go back-to-back weeks with touchdowns.
Yeah, well, I might actually go I'm pretty sure he was on your list. I didn't write him down here, but I might actually go pick up Byron Pringle then as my second one, because I reckon you've got it like a
nice pick.
Yeah. An equal sort of a chance, like DeMarcus Robinson versus Byron Pringle. Who knows?
Yeah.
One of them could get in the end zone, and as you said, like
you're taking the quarterback. That's what you're doing.
The quarterback.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll go Byron Pringle then. So that means I've got my 2 wide receivers and a flex. So I'm only due to pick my quarterback.
Quarterback on the way back. So
no stress about that at all. So,
no, because we've already taken ours. So,
yeah.
Benny, who you got, mate?
Yeah.
You got to take 2 running backs.
Yeah. Well, the first one, I just have to be all in on the Colts this week. I've decided I have to do it. So, I'm going to take Marlon Mack, who, I heard he was potentially a trade chip, maybe, and might not be with the Colts for much longer.
They might shop him.
They've mutually agreed to part ways, haven't they?
Yeah. And look, he's not like his stats this year. I mean, he's been getting 5 to 10 rushes a game. So like that amount of touches from the running back in this draft is okay. He's had a few targets, but not many out of the backfield. But his yards per carry is pretty terrible. So look, I feel like, it's the best of a bad bunch. I think a veteran guy.
You're taking a third string guy though, mate. Why that? Why are you taking a third string guy when there's there's guys on this list that are the number 2 guys and will get work, like guaranteed work, because they have to spell.
Is he a third string guy?
I think you have to separate Nyheim Hines, because he's not going to come in and run the ball up the middle. Like, he's just not going to do it.
No,
he's going to.
But Hines has been not involved hardly at all.
Yeah, I think if his best performance this weekend, this year for Mac, 5 rushes for 47 yards, 2 targets. But that was last week. So look, I think it might be that if I can get that again, that might get me across the line. So look, it's not great, and I don't think anyone else is going to take a running back. So with their flex position. So I'm hoping the other guy that I've got here, who's probably, like you say, more of a.
All the flexes are gone, mate. You're the only guy that needs flexes are gone. So you've got the pick of the bunch.
Yeah, so I'll go Mac, and then I'll throw to you, G, and just make sure.
Finish off. Yeah. Okay, so I got the tight end position. So you stole. It was easy a minute ago, but that's still gone out the window. So the other guy that I looked at that really is the only one on here that we'll see probably any targets at all as a tight end on a pretty poor offense at the moment, and I haven't done any research on him because I just thought that we're only going to take.
Mo Alley Cox.
There's only been 3 tight ends go, to be honest. And that would be Cole Kmet, would be the only guy on this list that I can ask. The other guy might be Jordan Akins. I don't know how much he's been used, but he goes up against Arizona. They'll never be able to cover tight ends. But I'll go with the name cachet, and which is Cole Kmet. What numbers? Well, he put up 49 yards in week 6. So
that's not bad.
If I can get 49 yards out of Cole Kmet, I'd be absolutely, and twice he's 42 yards and 49 yards, his 2 best games so far this season. Everything else is pretty average, but I'll take the 4.9 if I can get him in this group of guys. That'd be, and mate, who knows? He might even, as you say, AJ, might even find a bit of paintwork.
Maybe.
So, yep. And who's he up against this week? He's playing. That's probably not good. That's probably good. He's playing Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Yeah.
So, mate, they're going to have to score. So they're going to have to throw the ball. So, mate, my odds are probably pretty good that he could get 49 yards.
That Tampa Bay defense, geez,
not
no good. Nah,
they're
great. Terrible.
Yeah. Shocking.
One of the worst in the league. Tell yourself that.
Well, the secondary's not that great. Really?
No, and, in fairness, I think they've got some injuries at linebacker. I don't think Devin White's really been Devin White this year.
Okay, yeah.
Their D-line's been fantastic.
Yeah. So, so Cole Kmet. Geez, that seems such a drop. That's a drop-off from Mo Alley Cox. Who would ever think that? But there we go. Cole Kmet.
Do the Eagles play the Bucs this year? Do we know? Because if they do, Miles Sanders is a definite sit for that game, no matter what. They're just not going to bother, are they? Again, like for the second time. Have you got anyone else?
No, I'm finished, mate. So it's just you and AJ. So you're after your final running back, and AJ will give us his quarterback to finish off.
Yep.
Well, look, running back. There's a few options here. Well, there's not, but there's a few names on a piece of paper to choose from.
A few names here.
I reckon you could take a cheeky dice roll. I reckon. No, you say who you pick, and then I'll give you a cheeky dice roll you could take.
Well, right. So I'm gonna pick this guy, but there were 2 other names on my list that I'm not gonna pick. All right. So the 2 that I'm not going to pick are Ty Montgomery.
Has 7
wins.
Okay.
And
fine.
Royce and Royce Freeman. Those are the 2 that I'm not going to
pick. Has Ty Montgomery actually run the ball, or mate, every time I watch him, he's a receiver. He's played. He doesn't even start in the backfield.
Well, on this list it says RB next to his name.
It says RB. Doesn't it? Okay.
So I'm actually going to go for the guy who hit pay dirt in London for the Jets, and that's Ty Johnson.
He's number 2 on the list.
I think, I was thinking about Tevin Coleman, obviously, is he the starter? I don't know what the Jets are doing on offense. I really don't. I think that the biggest disappointment from an offensive point of view this year, they've got young guys like, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims. They're just not even looking at them, not even developing them. Like, it's really poor. But yet guys like, Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman are getting, more focus in the offense. So, look, 4 rushes, 12 yards and a touchdown, but three targets, 2 receptions, 22. And he's actually had...
Yeah, but who's against?
The Falcons.
Yeah.
But that's
the best he could do. That's the best he could do against the Falcons.
But he has had 13 targets in the passing game over the first 5 games. So, look, that's pointing in the right direction. But he's had one game where he hit 50 yards. The other 4 games in terms of rushing, 15 yards, 17 yards, 1 yard, and 12 yards. So I'm not expecting. I need a touchdown from the guy, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, and goes up against the Patriots this week, obviously 12th against running backs, giving up an average of 22 0.07. So, and he's yet to give you a 0. He's probably one of the only running backs on this list who's giving you some type of score every week.
Yeah.
And he's got that going for him.
Hey, here's a cheeky one for you.
Yeah,
it could absolutely blow up in your face and you'd get almost nothing, or you could hit pay dirt.
Could I put my hand up?
Yeah, go.
Have a guess?
Yep.
Jeremy McNichols?
No, although he was on my list.
He's on my list. Yep.
Yeah, he was on mine too.
Because if that gets to garbage time, McNichols could get a bit of run.
Mate, in the last 6 weeks, he's given you. And remember what type of people we're actually picking here, okay? As far as running backs go, 3.3, 2.9, 7.6, 8.5, and 3.5.
Yep. So it could
and
give you 7 or 8
nothing
points.
last week. Yeah, nothing last week because he went off with the ankle injury. So he could easily give you anything between 0 and 8.5.
Yeah. I'll give you one that could give you more than 10 points, maybe, but he also could give you a 0. He also could give you a 0, and that's Jarrett Patterson. Because the current status of Antonio Gibson is a little up in the air. He's got suspected shin fractures. It could well be that what the Washington football team turn around and put him on IR for a few weeks. Could happen.
Yep.
Or if he's questionable at the moment, he could play, but he could also be a game time decision, and they could just pull him.
He's been playing with that for a little bit already, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. That's what I mean. They could just turn around and say, "Oh man, we just got to rest him."
Yeah.
Forget this.
I don't know anything about. Does playing through it make it worse? Like, can they get worse, or is it this is what it is, and you just got to put up with it? It's not going to get any worse. You just got to put up with it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm guessing it's the same thing as shin splints, right? It's the same.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's just rest is the only remedy.
Okay.
It is, yeah. Like it can be intensely painful.
Yeah.
But then it can, subside pretty quickly. Like
Okay.
It's common for soccer players.
Yes.
Okay.
It's because of the pressure that the bones in the lower leg are put on when you run, and if you're running on hard surfaces, particularly, so it'll really hurt. So, yeah, I think, let's face it, they'll probably give him a injection of painkillers and he'll go, to be honest.
Oh, probably, but if you look at Gibson's numbers, they've been going down. So you kind of have this game of like, do we do that? Do we give him the pain meds and put him out on the park and he just works with it? Or do we give him a little rest, have him come back healthy? 3 weeks might not even solve it. I'm not sure.
No,
it's not like the Washington football team are going anywhere at the minute either, is it? Right? So
no.
Yeah, whether or not because that defense that they had was so good last year, it's not the same defense that's rocked up onto the park this year.
No, they're not playing.
I think we're all looking forward as far as fantasy goes, and most of it's offense. We do like to see, don't we? A team just like pound, defensively, good offensive teams.
Yeah.
Look, I think
Fitzpatrick back next week, maybe.
Oh, I think there's a very good chance that Heineke's they're moving on from him.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's enough pieces in that Washington defense that they'll come good. I don't think this is but
it could come good before, and it's too late to come good.
Yeah, true. So, okay, so my last pick
is a quarterback.
And there's only really one left, but I don't mind the pick anyway.
I've got 2.
Mac Jones. No, is there another one? Is there?
Yes.
Who was that? Was it Taylor Heineke?
No.
Who?
Jimmy Garoppolo against
Garoppolo.
Indy.
That's not bad, actually. That's not bad. I'll still stick with. I wrote down Mac Jones. I'll stick with that.
Indy.
Is he
25 against GBs? Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Jimmy G. Yeah.
Is he?
Jimmy G starting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, look, Mac Jones.
Trey Lance is out. He's already been ruled out.
Yeah, he has.
Oh, is he? Oh, right. I didn't realize.
Yes. No, Mac Jones is looking good. I mean, not looking fantastic, but looking good enough. But at the same time, I think that Bill Belichick is the type of coach that will manage and bring him along. Unlike, we sort of can look at the situation, say, with Justin Fields, for example, Trey Lance to a certain extent maybe as well, but Justin Fields certainly, and there seemingly is a bit of a mismatch between coach and, the skill set of your quarterback. But I think in Mac Jones and Bill Belichick, you've got a plan. You can see coaching. You got a
very good understanding of head and OC and HC.
Yeah.
Understanding who their quarterback is.
Correct. Yeah. And they ask him to do things he's comfortable to do. Yep. And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And they're playing the Jets this week, but they're ranked 7th against QBs. The Jets defense has been good.
Yeah, it has actually.
I don't know. It's looked good as a team, but they've been, when you look at the numbers in fantasy, they've been very good overall against all positions.
Yes. So only
4 TDs though for Mac Jones this year though. The Jets have only allowed 4 TDs to QBs.
Wow. Okay.
But they've had 0 interceptions. So.
Oh, okay.
But 4 TDs, mate. That's in 6 games. 6 games. Yeah, week 7. That's very good. No matter who you're playing against.
No, that's right.
And it's not like, I think obviously Robert Saleh is making a big difference there on that side of the ball, I imagine. I think as a head coach, there's massive questions, but they haven't got a sort of lot of guys there who are big names, although CJ Mosley has been amazing. Like he has been,
but he's probably out. He's out this week.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
Yep.
But he has been flying sideline to sideline, like all times. Like he's been brilliant.
Mate, and he's got that purple hair going out the back as well, the dreadies or whatever he's got going. That's very noticeable. He's done it, is it purple or red or whatever color it is.
Yeah. Easy to
spot. Mate,
you don't have to read the number.
Mate, and he's in the camera all the time.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
The trouble is, like when you sort of, the people you're putting at the face of your franchise are like a defensive player. It's a bit like having a big banner of Youngway Koo outside of the stadium. In London, isn't it? It's like, you're struggling to sell that to the fans.
Mate, that's a whole different realm, mate. When you're putting your kicker as you're trying to sell a team on your kicker. I'm telling you, it really is. But that's where the Falcons find themselves at the moment.
Yeah.
They're rebuilding.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our teams. Do you want to read them out?
Yeah, so I'll wrap them up. So Ben, at quarterback, Carson Wentz. His 2 running backs are Marlon Mack and Ty Johnson. His receivers are Quiz Watkins, Kendrick Bourne, tight end Ricky Seals-Jones, who was the top of my list. And his flex is Mo Alley-Cox, who was, I think he was 3rd. He was my 2nd tight end, actually. Right. AJ, at quarterback, you got Mac Jones. Your running backs with an asterisk against his name, Ramon Stevenson. Salvon Ahmed. Your wide receivers are Tyler Johnson, Freddie Swain. Your tight end is OJ Howard, who is 3rd on my list. And your flex spot is Byron Pringle. My team lines up with Ryan Tannehill, Samaji Perine, DJ Dallas. Wide receiver, I have the big play guys in Deshaun Watson and
not Deshaun Watson. He's not playing.
Sorry. Who was my
Deshaun Jackson?
Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson. So I'm just looking. Who's my second wide receiver? No, he was my rookie. He was my flex.
Was he? Are you sure?
Who else did I pick up?
Maybe you didn't pick up another player. Are you one player short?
No, I must have.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson. I am, So how did that work out? Did I not take 2? Did I not take 2 picks?
I think that last round, because I
didn't take 2.
Have you got another one? And you were like,
no, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. So I've got to take a wide receiver. So I'll quickly pick one out of the list that I've got here. So I'm going to take Kenny Stills. I'm going to go for the big play ability. Still no Michael Thomas. Harris is out as well. He's seen an uptick in his snap count and his targets in the last week. Like they really took a spike. So I'll go for that big play ability, and I'll chuck Kenny Stills in as my second wide receiver. My tight end is Cole Kmet, which I had to bring up. He was sitting on the couch, and now he's in my lineup. And as I said, Demarcus Robinson is my flex position. So there we go. The teams.
That was good. That was fun to scrape the barrel.
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it? That's why you never let your car go below quarter of a tank, because you pick up all the crap at the bottom. And that's pretty much what we were doing today.
Is that true? Is that true, G?
Oh, mate, fuel has sediment.
So then you get all the sediment.
But you have filters and stuff like that. But it's still not good to run your car to empty.
I always do. I always run it like completely to like within. You know how you got that little display that tells you how many kilometers you've got. I run it down till I've got a few kilometers to go.
Look, I must admit, filling up with petrol. There's these things in your life that you hate doing, even though they're not big things.
I always put it off. Yeah.
Like petrol's one of them.
Yeah.
You leave it to the last minute. And seriously, mate, going and having a piss is the most annoying thing. It's just like
I can wait. I can wait.
Yeah. You sort of,
until you're like, I can't wait.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. Because it's not something you have to do once a day. I drink that much water. It seems to be, it just becomes annoying. I just wish I could just get rid of it and never have to do it again.
Gee, at our age, I don't know whether, because I do that too. I don't think that's something we should be doing, is it? Is that good for your engine? You get all the sediment through your motor?
Well, mate, the way I look at it is to be hydrated, to know that you're hydrated is when you go and it's clear.
Okay.
That's when you know you're hydrated. I think I think I read an NFL team years back that they used to get their players to pee before they started training to see if they've been doing the right, because mate, you want to be hydrated when you turn up, and we can't monitor you obviously because you're at home.
Yes.
Used to get them to pee to see if it was clear. I was actually thinking I'm not that far away from that probably, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So.
But like I always suffer. Like I've got a shocking bladder. Like even if I have a half a pint of water, I need a piss in like 10 minutes. But I used to go to gigs all the time, and I used to want to get to right at the front. Like get there early, go right at the front, and I'd be like waiting for like the support acts, and then just before the main act was coming on, I'd be like, I need a piss.
It's like I never, if I know I'm going to the cinemas.
Yep, and it's
I never drink before I go in or when I'm there. I never get a drink. I'll just sit through without a drink.
Because you know when it's going to hit you the worst. It's like at Act 3 at the most critical time. You're going to be like this.
15 minutes left.
It doesn't matter where it is. Do you really want to get? They're not going to put the movie on pause. You're not at home.
Yeah,
I remember.
So you're gonna miss a piece of the movie, even if you don't know what's coming up.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss any of it. And there's nothing worse than sitting there and watching a movie and needing to go to the toilet because it's just taken all the fun out of watching the movie.
I'll tell you a funny story. So even though the movie was kind of rubbish, but I went to the premiere of The Phantom Menace, right? Star Wars The Phantom Menace. And we were in this big cinema. It was a midnight screening, big cinema. And we were right up the back, but up the back was like plum seats, right?
Was that one of the CGI ones?
Yes.
They were really bad. Yeah,
the CGI like crazy. It wasn't good. No. It wasn't very good. But anyway, my mate's girlfriend needed to go to the toilet, like right at the end. There's this big battle, right? So right, but just before that, she's like, I need to go to the toilet. But it's this massive cinema. So she like goes past everybody because we were right in the middle of the back row. Then all the way down to the exit, goes out to the toilet and everything. She came back and the movie had just finished. She missed everything. And she was like, what happened? And we're like, oh my God, I don't know, can't explain.
Yeah.
I actually really love the Marvel films because there's always a big battle at the end, right? So, but
what are you guys talking about movies I don't look at?
But they have about a 5-minute sort of before the battle. They have a 5-minute where all the characters get together and are talking about, So I'm like, every time that happens, I'm going for a piss. So I go and because you're not going to miss anything. They're just talking about how don't die and but it won't be the same without you. And then I get back and the battle just starts and I'm like, perfect.
It's a fair call, Scott. I haven't.
Secrets.
No, I've done it in the car.
Yeah, I have in the car.
I've done it in the car a number of times. A number of times I've done it in the car. And let me tell you, it's not that easy.
No, it isn't.
I'll tell you, we should wrap this up. I'll tell you though, the hardest thing I've ever had to piss into is a bedpan.
Oh, yeah.
But they're made out of metal.
Yes.
You pull out when I was a younger guy, I went and visited my grandmother in England, and the toilet was still outside in the backyard, the outhouse. That's what it's like a commission area. That anyway. So we're upstairs, so we had a bedpan, mate. It's hard enough to control the speed and flow when you're older, but when you're a kid, you got no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it just splashes everywhere. It is the worst thing to pee into. The worst thing. No.
Scott's got some advice for you there. There you go.
Peace down. That's probably what it is too. No. Anyway, there we go.
All right. Anyway, hopefully, look, maybe you've gleaned some little gems out of this discussion, maybe not. And as I said at the top, it may just be you take an L this week and you just say, screw it. I can't do anything. But as I said, also, take a look at your opponent before you kind of are too reactive. Have a look at your opponent, because if they can't kind of fill their roster as well, then just like you can call it even and not kind of have to drop anyone.
And it might also be a good week, AG, if you're looking at doing some trades with people. And there's a guy, and maybe you're willing to take a 0 to get a guy that's on a buy this week, or even on IR might be so you've got the double whammy of an IR guy and the buy, and you've got a guy is willing to play, is able to play this week, and you're going, well, if I can get this guy, I'll suck the 0 for this week, but I'm going to get him on my roster. It might be a good week to sort of look at doing a few trades.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay.
Game of the week for you boys this week. Anything that stands out for you?
Mate, to be honest, I haven't even looked at the games that are coming up, to be honest. I just went and set my lineups, and like I said, I obviously don't have very good fantasy rosters because I'm not really missing that many guys this week.
Chiefs Titans, I think, stands out.
Yeah, the other one that stands out to me is Ravens Bengals. The Bengals could actually leapfrog into first place over the Ravens, who are obviously 5-1. And look, I think that's an interesting matchup. I think I want to see a little bit more, I think, of Joe Burrow maybe in this game, maybe a match-winning performance type thing. Certainly got the weapons, so that should be a good one.
I'm actually really quite interested in the Jets-Patriots game. Now, the Patriots are going for the 5th loss at home this season.
Wow.
And wouldn't it be great for the Jets to do them at home? Fantastic. And it's like the revenge game too for Mac Jones, seeing that he was taken like the last quarterback. So
and also Zach Wilson threw like 7 interceptions in the game between them a few weeks ago or something. So he probably wants to put that right. So and he looked good, and then he took a step back again. I mean, is it the offense? Is it him? He's having a lucky season.
Yeah, some of the passes, mate, are definitely on him. I don't know where you're throwing or who you think you're throwing the ball to sometimes.
Yeah.
I think he might be fine. The fact that mate, these NFL guys, like corners, mate, they move quick. They move a lot quicker than college guys. And it's just maybe that he just hasn't got that. You're so used to seeing a guy in a certain spot away from receiver. I know I can make that throw. Well, you can't make that throw now.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit more
anticipation. It's fair to say there's not many good games this weekend. But just and this qualifies, but I just like the storyline. But Lions at Rams, I just like the intrigue of the Jared Goff versus Matt Stafford storyline in that one. But yeah, the games are
interesting this week, AJ. That there was actually Sean McVay said that he regretted the way that it went down, the trade, and the rumors are that he didn't even speak to Goff. Oof. So Goff found out that he was traded. I think they then spoke after that, once the trade had gone through, but beforehand he didn't speak to him.
Yeah, don't come to me saying, I regret how it went down. Mate, you've been around long enough to know how to handle a situation and didn't do it right. So
you made a choice.
Yeah.
Because no action is a choice.
Yeah. And you get a trade, mate, you tell him. Mate, you're a big enough man, tell him I'm going to trade you. Sorry, this is what's happening, this is where you're going. It's sort of like if I don't look at him, I turn around, he's not there anymore.
Speaking of movies,
I was just about to do the movie thing as well, AJ. So go on.
Were you going to say Moneyball?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
That's probably the same thing.
The trade scene. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like the guy, I can't remember what his name is, but what's that?
Carlos Pena, the guy who traded. Oh, yeah.
No, not Pena.
Oh,
no,
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
And oh damn, what's his name? The main actor in it is
Brad Pitt.
And Brad Pitt sort of said, because he says to Jonah Hill, just tell him. How do I do it? You just tell him. He's a professional. He understands. This is just the game. And he comes in. He goes, "I'm sorry, we're trading you." And he's like, "Okay," and that's kind of it. Have you seen Moneyball, G?
Yeah.
I could watch that film on repeat. I think it's a fantastic film.
Yeah.
But I love the way he just goes, you've been traded to the wherever, and he gives him the phone number of the guy to contact to organize his plane out of there.
Yeah. All business. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Okay. Yes. On that note, good point, Scott. We are wrapping up. I'm just getting the wind up here, so let's wrap this thing up. We're 1.5 hours. Okay.
You obviously didn't notice I was doing this. That's the TikTok.
I know I did. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Hope you've enjoyed that, and good luck this week with your fantasy teams and your actual teams. And on behalf of G, Ben, and myself, I'm going to wish you a very good week, and we will catch you next time. Thank you. See ya.